Welcome back. We're Hogs Radio, coming live every Tuesday night. If you missed our first segment just now, we dug into Chris Cooley being a Marlboro man and the effects on that. Check it out. Tell us your opinion. Tweet us your thoughts on that.
What if it was one of those fake cigarettes they sell in the mall?
What if it was candy cigarette?
Then would you care? Or then would you care?
During that segment, did you find yourself...
Then it looks like it
did you find yourself talking
cleaning up a problem
more to MJ than you normally do because of the camera?
Like you were shying away from the guy taking pictures. I felt like you guys were looking at me a lot.
Because here's the problem. Because when I was trying to talk
I hate my side profile, so I think
when I was trying to talk to Adam, I was looking right at the guy, and it looked like I was... Because he was about to take a picture.
So you turned real quick?
So I turned and I was like, well, it looks like I planned to be like that. So I was like...
And I felt the guy looking at me a couple times at Lynn, so I'd like cross my arms, like suck my gut in a little bit. Like, like...
Did you wear the polo shirt because of this?
No, I wore the polo shirt because I went to work today.
I mean, you don't always wear polo shirts to work.
I usually do. Actually, just take it off. Yeah, I usually have a T-shirt on.
So what the heck are we talking about? We had the Gazette in here tonight taking pictures. They're going to be doing a story on us.
Make sure you check that out next week. Yeah,
May 30th. So make sure you
can I get it framed.
Yeah.
I gotta find a Gazette.
I'll steal some for you.
I mean, I live in Montgomery. I live in Frederick County, so
yeah, it's true.
I don't get a Montgomery.
Can I tell you what?
Is it Montgomery County Gazette it's going in, or is it like a Rockville? Is it the big one?
It's good. It's good to write an article. We don't even.
I mean,
this is fun.
I'll steal you one. I'll steal my neighbor's.
Listen, why does the Gazette have to have all these different Gazettes?
Right.
There's only one Washington Post.
Maybe it's going in all of them. Maybe we're just that big of a ticket.
Is it going in Rockville because that's where we broadcast from? Or
I don't think it's the Rockville. I think it's the Montgomery. I think it's the Montgomery County Gazette, and I think the sports section might change. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't make a difference. Well, then what? We'll take one from. We're going to steal one from every city until we find the article.
We'll just tweet out. No matter where you are right now, please go outside, grab your Gazette, look at all the different pages. If you have it, save it for us.
Don't run it over with your car.
Oh, it's
pick it up out of the driveway.
No, in our luck, they'll deliver it on a rainy day.
Yep, it'll be
so every copy of Montgomery County will be like wet and kind of like
and soaked,
ran over, where like is now like you have to decipher it on the road with the tire marks.
You know what I still
looks
do?
Like my driveway every day.
I still take every Gazette. I open it. I actually read the Gazette a lot, and then I go to the sports section and see where Watkins Mill is, and then get depressed on.
You still do that?
I still do it all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, so still, because that's free. Might as well read it. All right, last one. Topic number 3 that's dominated Twitter talk today: the 10 for 80 rule. So here's
is that the 10% of people do 80% of the work or something like that? Is that the
something like that?
Or is that in Hitch? You're supposed to go 10% of the way and then the girl comes 80% of the way.
Yeah.
I do love some Hitch quotes.
So basically,
hey, can you give me a drink?
10 years ago,
I'm not a server.
10 years ago, the Redskins did the 70th anniversary team, and they picked 70 of the greatest Redskins of all time. 10 years later, they're doing the 80th. Running out.
It's a marketing machine over there now.
No ideas, boys. But so, the rules are pretty standard. Players and head coaches are eligible this year. Assistant coaches are eligible. Team administrators are eligible.
Greg Williams probably will not make the list.
There's one rule that has everyone up in arms. It's the rule we're going to talk about. Active NFL players are eligible, but any current team member must have spent at least 10 years with the team to be eligible. So when you have that rule, you're essentially excluding 2 guys, maybe 3 guys that anyone would actually consider voting.
And now the rule is actual time in a Redskins uniform, correct? It's not just playing 10 years in the NFL.
It's just 10 years with the team.
With the team, okay.
So I wrote 3 guys, but there's probably 2 guys you can really think of.
I hope that's not the requirement moving forward, because there will never be.
I don't think so.
I mean, who's been on the team for 10 years?
That's what
How many teams would have a team of 25 if that were the rule?
What percentage of players last in the league longer than 10 years?
Well, the average career of NFL players is like 3.6 or something.
Yeah,
like
so
and especially in the day of free agency, it's a strange rule. There are
how many years was Peyton with the Colts? Because he's one of the long tenure.
99, maybe 11.
I thought it was like 98 or something.
98, yeah, 98, 99,
so,
maybe 11 or 10.
Kind
of right there, just barely.
He barely made the list.
Best player maybe ever.
He's like the classic, has stayed with an organization forever.
Yeah.
Up until now.
So the two rules that or the 2 things that immediately popped into my head when I heard about this and read about it were, one, the Oscar rule. The Oscar rule with the movie, where a lot of people actually want a similar rule set up for Best Picture. Obviously talking about movies where you wait 10 years and then you see the impact it had on society? Is it still that dominant of a picture 10 years from now? Are people still talking about it 10 years from now? That, I think, is a fantastic idea and probably should be implemented.
I like it.
But then when you think about this, the last large-scale, actually what I consider to be semi-important or pretty important was the 50 greatest NBA players. And if I'm not mistaken, active players were involved in that.
Absolutely.
I remember Duncan was involved, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, those guys who I believe were still playing at that time. Maybe I'm off on a few of those names.
No, you're well. Because the problem with anything like that is because anytime you have a 50 greatest, and like especially in the NBA, they're like, even if they didn't want to do it, like really, Jordan, we're not gonna have Jordan. Everyone's essentially gonna mock this. We have no choice.
So that's kind of what Fat Pickle is saying here.
So that's so
agreed.
But when I said that, I said if they would have left those guys out, Wilkes, you took maybe mine and I guess his argument right out of my mouth. If they would have left those guys out, what a joke. So if somebody deserves to be and has already proven to be one of the 80 greatest Redskins, this rule I think is a little unnecessary. It does scream ulterior motive. It does scream we're up to something.
Because I don't see the angle of why why you'd have it. Like, I like to hear their spin, like, why they'd want this. Because the spin that's coming out, and like I said, from a Dan Snyder's point of view, I actually kind of understand it a little bit. And the coaching staff's point of view, I understand it. Because the sense that you can't have a guy like Cooley, and Moss for a lesser effect, but Cooley, let's say there's 50-50 chance he's going to get cut, released. It's tough to release a guy, and especially the backlash you're going to get is if he gets nominated, if he's
nominated top 80, and then a week later we release him. I mean, that is bad.
And especially because it's not like Cooley is... Because Cooley's still going to be a semi-productive player, whether for this team or somewhere in the NFL.
Now, what if our star... Do you think this would make it look worse? What if our star was bigger than a Chris Cooley or Santana Moss? What if we had a Peyton Manning in their situation, where Peyton Manning, at that point, would be... He'd be the number one best player in the Redskins.
He's been your figure.
Where he's your figure, like, and you can't put him on the team. You can't put him on the top 80 because he's on the roster, but he's like the best player in the NFL ever.
Yeah, I mean, even if you could, that's absolutely a great point. You can bring somebody up on every team. Calvin Johnson wouldn't be a top 80 Lion. I mean, joke. I mean, they're
one of the best receivers ever to walk on the field.
And there are situations like that on every team. So I don't know.
That's why I think it's stupid to not vote them.
Have the Texans even been around 10 years? Would they have no one on their team?
I mean, Andre Johnson would be. Yeah, yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it'd be blank.
Oh, we haven't had anyone. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, me and you were talking about earlier, from Dan Snyder's point of view, I see why they did it.
Do you think that's the only reason why he did it? Can you think of any other reason as to
like I was saying,
protecting himself
like I said to Kevin,
on a PR?
I can't think of why else you would do it except for that. I can't think of what other reason would you have?
Here's why: because it is a fan's choice, and then you also are afraid that they're going to select RG3.
That's a good point. I mean, you have the recency effect.
I mean, it's you have to be careful a little bit, maybe.
I mean,
I think you put the ballot out.
Oh, so they decide the ballot,
I think Fred Smoot is on. I think that's how I heard Fred Smoot. Because the fans haven't voted yet.
Gotcha.
But I heard Fred Smoot was going to be a
nominee. So
nominee.
the Redskins choose the ballot.
I think they choose the people. Because you're right. Because then at that point, Matt Turk could be my favorite. You know,
but I guess
there's a big Matt Turk following in D.C.
But
and all of a sudden everyone wants to vote on him.
But the idea, it's a recency effect thing too.
Yeah.
Where you want guys that people might have forgot about that did play an important part.
Right. My dad might be like, Kevin, Santana Moss was good. He's nowhere near important enough to be considered in this, even top 80. Like, that's just an example. I'm not saying my dad actually told me that. But, I mean, our generation who has just seen 4 or 5 years of bad Redskins football, is that fair to put them in? Because we've seen them and, it was exciting and, some of them had big plays. What if we honestly forget how good – because we don't know. We don't know how
that's
good
a good point. And
some of the other guys were.
I want to bring that point up that what if you did for the Wizards and you had a guy like Andre Blatch who's been around for so long and you looked at his numbers, but we know that he's really not done anything, but his numbers look like they're worth it. Because you look at Cooley and Moss, they've accomplished a lot on the field, but for the Redskins, have they really, for the team, have they brought anything to this team? I mean, essentially playoff wins, maybe one?
Well, I mean but the criteria for best for greatest Redskins can be a lot. But,
true.
I mean, the other part of this argument is you're talking about 80, right? I mean, 80 players. We talked about in the break that it would be very difficult. We could all probably do it. But
Well,
I think it'd be difficult.
Let me change
to,
this.
First of all, you also
No,
did
no, no.
water.
It wasn't
you start
to
watering down the product.
I agree. I completely agree.
Let me
Oh,
say that.
I made the top 250
No, okay, well,
Redskins
first-
of all time. Oh, great.
First,
yeah, that's awesome.
First,
you
it's-
and
I'll
249
say
others.
this: it's open to
that's
head
right, coaches and assistant coaches, yeah.
and team administrators.
Right.
Oh, really?
So, like,
Admin?
I don't know if a guy like Matt Terrell, who used to run Redskins.com, you can vote for him if you really liked his blog for a couple
you know
years.
what, though? He did change Redskins.com.
You could make that.
He started bringing that Dan Steinberg kind of quirky, bloggy.
You can make that claim that the reason that you read Redskins.com today, even though he's no longer with it, is because of him.
I was reading a lot of his stuff back in the day.
Because he also, it wasn't just like our team's going to be really good this year. It was like random pictures of stuff that he had access to that other people didn't. That if he didn't put it out, you would have never seen it.
He did a write up of when I met Jim Zorn at California Tortilla. Did you ever hear about that?
Yes.
He did a write up on Redskins.com on that. Little fun stories like that.
So I mean,
Kind of cool.
you can. I don't know how deep it gets with that, but with that being said, because I think there's actually a voting committee. There's a committee of some type I read, so maybe they have final say. Because I wouldn't know. I don't know how.
The Redskins are so near and dear to our hearts and so important to us. Let's talk about a team that is also important. Let's say, Wilkes, your Baltimore Orioles. What if the Baltimore Orioles did the same thing? And somebody like Adam Jones wouldn't be allowed to be in it. Or maybe a better example, I don't know if there's a better example right now.
Yeah.
But you understand,
with.
are we just analyzing the Redskins like we always do with too much of a fine-tooth comb? And
I mean, that's why I kind of wrote this. I said only.
I mean, you better believe right now, best national / expo / senator, Bryce Harper's making my top 20. Okay,
I guess
that's because I'm voting for it. But
no,
is that fair?
No, you're absolutely fair, and I mean in the sense that.
But if you didn't have a choice, if they gave you the ballot, you see what I'm saying? So they're still controlling it because they're creating the ballot, but they're even going above and beyond and controlling what we think or what
I see what you're saying.
They're controlling it beyond. They're saying, well, we're going to control it another level to avoid a potential PR hit that we don't want to. Dan Snyder is the ultimate. I'm gonna try to control every PR negative spin
I'm with you.
that could come at me.
I'm with you on the, yeah. I mean the PR thing is definitely something to consider. But you would.
That was the second question I'm sure they asked was,
Yeah.
hey man, I got a great idea. All right, what kind of trouble could this get us into? Let's make sure
First
we're
of
covering
all,
our bases.
They
there.
probably should have just skipped this for this.
I mean,
this damn year.
they literally have like a PC,
Yeah.
politically correct employee.
Yeah.
I know he's their public, but like that's what he's all.
I
He's
will
a lawyer.
job.
He's like, oh well, this will screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
won't
will
be
say that
politically
I
correct
think
here?
this rules around 10 years ago.
Hey, by the way, any current Redskins even fall under this?
I was trying to think. I didn't.
Under what?
Right now, could we even vote for a current Redskin?
That was 10 years.
I mean, no chance, right?
No chance.
No chance.
From 90
or
from
2002?
2002?
No chance.
I don't think so, right? I mean, that your Chris Samuels is gone. Obviously, your LeVar is gone.
John Jansen, gone. I don't know. No, you can't. Cooley's the longest tenured, right?
He has to be the
Oh,
longest.
what is he?
05 maybe?
05. Oh, yeah.
I think it's 05.
Yeah.
But you couldn't even put. I mean,
So what if they would have said no current Redskin? Do you think that could have is the semantics of that make you feel a little better?
Well, actually, let me be honest. It wasn't until I read the Fat Pickle blog about this that I started getting going. I literally think there's a chance I may have just glanced over this story and not have dug into it. But then when I heard somebody argue it with a little bit of passion behind, then it got me thinking. I mean, do you agree? You potentially could have just scanned over.
Probably.
Oh, we're adding 10 more people to the top 80 team.
It probably wouldn't have, because like I said, it was around 10 years ago, and I didn't think anything of it.
I don't think I even would have read it. I don't even think I would have read the details of how you vote a player in or who's eligible. Maybe I would have.
Sellers.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's not on the team anymore.
Oh, really?
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was last
That's
year.
right. I forgot all about that.
Last
I was
year
like,
was last
I got
year.
one. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
No,
What? He was
What
close.
was his tenure, though?
He was
When
with,
did he come on?
He was with them from 98 to 2000, and he went to Cleveland for a year, and he's
I
back
will say
for the
that
rest of the time.
I will say the website they created for this
pretty cool, pretty snazzy.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like you could honestly spend a lot. You could probably spend a couple hours tomorrow going on their website and just looking at these old Redskins. For example, I've never even heard of Ernie Pinkett. None of you guys have.
So
I don't even care.
So the greatest
I don't
70
care about Ernie
Redskins.
Pinkett.
So the greatest 70 Redskins are staying put. That is, they are. We're not revoting on that, correct?
I think so.
All right. So then we're adding 10, and Snyder has come up with this plan to not include anybody that hasn't been on the team that wasn't a Redskin for 10 full years. Is that right?
Correct.
So, in fact, you're gonna get those Ernie Pinkett's, Wilkes, because not many people played for the
Are
Redskins
we
for
sure?
10 full
'Cause
years.
how is Fred Smoot eligible for that? He didn't play 10 years with the Skins.
So here's how it's working.
Because he's not an active.
So at the
player.
conclusion of
Or a non-active
ready?
player. If you're active, you have to have been here for 10 years.
Oh, okay. If you're active, you had to have been here for 10 years.
At the
Which basically, you might as well just.
At the conclusion,
At
the conclusion of 80 days of voting, the blue ribbon panel will add
Oh,
their.
dude, that just makes them sound so fancy.
I know.
I guarantee they're wearing stupid blue ribbons on their suit jackets.
Like it's a county fair.
Blue
That's
ribbon
exactly what I'm
panel.
thinking of.
What's
like
this
they're- like they're
website?
about to put it, like, on a-
Is this on Redskins.com?
Judging cows.
Are they Zagat reviewed or?
The,
Seriously.
the
Zagat reviewed.
combined vote
Oh
will
my
then
gosh.
yield the 10 players who joined the list, the elite list of former Redskins greats to be honored as part of the 80 greatest Redskins of all time. So maybe they're trying to give the guys who didn't get a chance the first time a second opportunity to get in before you throw guys. Because
And look, and there's also something to be said for as important as this is. If they're good enough, the next time we make a dumb list like this, they'll be on it, right?
What if you were on the first list and you're just tired of coming back every 10 years? For like another stupid ceremony.
take a free trip. Why
D
not?
Hall it, and got Madden.
I don't think anyone turns down the opportunity to be cherished.
Actually, remember Joe Montana? Steelers Seahawks Super Bowl? We didn't go when they were tributing the top 50 players because they weren't paying him enough.
Well, yeah, that's.
Remember that story?
I do remember that. He doesn't show like Joe Montana don't show up for no less than 50 G's or something.
Which is
They-
just crazy.
Which
talk.
because they were paying. I don't think they were paying any of them.
Yeah, they weren't paying. They were paying room and board and flight and all that.
Well, yeah, they weren't paying.
They weren't paying anyone, and it was Montana saying, "I don't go anywhere for
Yeah.
less than a certain."
You know what?
So you don't think some ego Redskins
If
are
you're
like,
Joe,
"Look,
if you're Joe Montana,
I went to 60. You want me at 70? Guess what?
But yeah,
I don't come to 70 for anything.
Which Redskin would you ask you that question? If you had to pay one Redskin to be here, who is a Redskin you'd give the money to make sure he was there?
Art Monk.
Daryl Green.
I was probably gonna say Daryl Green, but I like Art Monk too.
Daryl Green. I don't know. Maybe because I feel like Daryl Green is more watered down because he's still in the limelight a little bit more.
Well, he's on commercials with his entire family talking
all
about
the
smoking.
time. All the time. Like
Grandpa,
He hates Chris Cooley.
we love you, Grandpa.
Daryl
We don't
Gr-
want you to smoke.
Daryl Green thinks that Chris Cooley story is a huge deal.
So Daryl. I haven't seen the cigarette commercial.
Yeah,
is that what that, when he has the whole family on
With
the
his whole
couch?
family on the
he's like-
couch.
Is that a cigarette?
We,
It's an anti-cigarette thing.
love you, Grandpa. We don't want to see you die.
Can somebody please
They don't
edit,
have that
can someone
accent, by
please
the way.
edit that to a Cooley?
to Chris.
Can someone please do
Please, somebody with a lot more
Please,
talent than us.
Chris Cooley.
that? Please, Chris Cooley.
And that
We
robot
don't
voice.
want you some- Can somebody, MJ? Are you, like, is that something you can work up right now?
I can't work it out right now, but I'm sure I could work it up.
I mean, that is too funny.
Yeah. So
I want to see that.
All right, can I throw something at you right now?
do you want to know the blue ribbon panel?
Voting ends on my birthday, fellas. FYI,
Bernard Shaw,
just in case you forget.
Redskins historian Mike Richmond, which we've met. Mike
yeah, Richmond.
Yeah.
That guy.
Charles.
He's being nominated.
No.
No,
he's
the
the
blue
Oh,
ribbon. He's the blue ribboner.
Charles
like-
Charles Mann, Joe Theismann,
Both
and,
all part of the team,
and,
correct?
and Mark
Obviously.
Mosley. So it was three guys from the 70 team, plus Bernard Shaw, who's a CNN reporter and a big Redskins fan, and then
Richmond knows every detail.
and then
about the
Richmond, who
Redskins.
knows. You know the guy I said Ernie Pinkett from 1930, 1940, and I said you guys don't know him.
Yeah, he could have
Mi-
spouted off his
Mike-
height, weight, and his career stats in every game.
Yeah, Mike Richmond knows him. We've had the opportunity. He's come out to I think he came out to one of our events, right? That's the same guy?
Yeah.
So,
Do you think the Redskins
Him and his daughter.
all-time football roster? Because when you get to 70, you'd only have to cut 17 guys to get to a football roster. Do you think it intimidates anybody else's top 53? And clearly, I'm talking about the big boys. I'm not talking about the Jaguars and the
Talking about
Browns.
the
I'm talking about other teams that have won 3 Super
49ers,
Bowls. Yeah.
Steelers, Cowboys, Giants.
Yeah, all those teams. Bears even.
Yeah, I think you'd have a pretty because one, we'd have a dominant offensive line,
Yeah.
which always helps.
Yeah.
Which because now we
What
have
happens when we go up against the Steelers' defensive line? No.
True.
Are we?
You know where we're actually weakest? Actually, not true.
Quarterback.
Yeah, but
Obviously.
no. But if you have Sonny
Dosman
Jurgensen,
was pretty damn. No, actually, I'd take Joey T.
he
was the dude. Obviously put him healthy, right?
These are all.
Duh.
No, it's a prime conversation. If I put out Sonny
With one leg.
if I put Sonny Jurgensen out there right now, he'd die. No, I think we'd have a pretty solid squad. We wouldn't. With that being said, there's no holes. There's no holes on a Redskins team.
Yeah, but I feel like other organizations would put out just some stupid lineups, and we wouldn't know what to do. Unfortunately, the Cowboys in particular. I mean, some of that team was built together.
A Steelers team
Would be pretty good.
Their defense would be literally insane. I don't know how you'd score on them.
The best defensive line, the best linebackers.
Could you imagine having Troy Polamalu and Rod Woodson in their primes? You couldn't throw the ball or run the ball.
What about their corners, though?
I think the 49ers and Cowboys.
I agree. No, I'm with you.
See, but remember that Cowboys line?
Yeah, but think of
could they have been better than the Hogs? I know that's a scary thing, but like the Nate Newton, Eric Williams.
Is it because we're close to the Redskins
Stepnoski.
that we?
And they had a funny nickname.
What was theirs?
Probably. No, I'm saying the
ours?
Redskins did.
Yeah.
Is it because we're close to the Redskins? Are we not giving like credit to guys like the Hogs being maybe one of the best offensive lines ever? A guy like Riggins.
I forgot about Riggins. Yeah.
We'd have Daryl Green back there. You could have Sonny Jurgensen or
Cowboys would have Dion.
Sammy Ball.
What are you starting 4 quarterbacks?
I'm just saying.
Pick one.
Okay,
gotta pick one.
Whatever.
I mean,
but remember what Shanahan said: if you don't have a good backup, you're screwed.
The 49ers couldn't pick one. Who would you take? I mean, I guess you'd take Montana, but in one game, I don't know. Young is.
I can't. You take Montana.
That would be.
Really? I don't know.
This smells like research laden posting coming up. I don't know.
I would probably take Young. My only reason.
This has probably been done 100 times over, but
not by us.
Not by these three idiots.
They actually did this on ESPN. They had the simulations where it was really done really well, where they had like the 70 Steelers.
How about if
versus
it's done
the 80s?
Not really well, we'll do it.
Yeah, but they like cut video together. They had like a game played.
I have seen that. I literally could not take my eyes off the TV.
It was like the 70 Steelers. Versus
what about the Bears?
It was perfect.
Yeah, but
it would go back. Steve Young would go back and throw a pass to T.O. I'm sorry, Joe Montana would go back and throw a pass to like T.O. It was insane.
Why? Because the best receiver was covered? Jerry Rice?
No. I'm saying the way they split that up.
Oh, I know.
Jerry Rice was on the roster too.
But
I know, but I'm like,
yeah,
I'm just saying, T.O. wouldn't even have been the best receiver on that team.
I would say
they have highlights of Montana to Rice.
I would take Steve Young only because no matter how our the defenses would be more dominant than the offenses. And you'd want a guy who could scramble because I think he'd have to run for his life.
By the way, Steve Young's like Mike Vick, by the way. I mean, nobody could stop that guy.
I'm trying to think what quarterback to receiver combo like that didn't play together would be the best duo to come together.
On a team?
Like, I'm trying to think like – because that's pretty cool, Montana to T.O. because he's never done it. But that didn't really excite me because he had Rice.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what great quarterback had a receiver maybe come later down the road where that simulation could be really cool.
Obviously on the same team?
Same team. So, like maybe an Aikman to Des Bryant, but that's a bad example.
Terry Bradshaw. Excuse me, not Terry Bradshaw to Mike Wallace. I mean, just
like that's cool. Like that's really cool.
Just go.
But I think
Which
Ben
way does
Roethlisberger
anyway.
will be better than Terry Bradshaw.
How about like Staubach to like Irvin?
But
something
yet
like
Aikman.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying
I'm trying to find
so
like
a receiver without a quarterback and a quarterback without a receiver, in a way.
Exactly.
It's somewhere.
I'm looking like an Andre Johnson. If the Texans had like Aikman back in the 80s, and they had
Steve
Andre
McNair,
Johnson,
maybe same franchise, right? Houston Oilers.
No, didn't Houston become
Tennessee? Good call.
That's interesting.
That is. That's cool.
I'd have to.
We'll also do a research lane post about this that means nothing actually in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely nothing. But it was, you know what?
That's what we do, right, Wilkes?
It killed time.
No,
See?
I actually did. This part I enjoyed.
It killed time.
Special thanks to the Lanyard guy. Special thanks to the Lanyard guy who's actually creating who's creating a top 80 Redskins lanyard.
It only took 18 months, but we've actually found a topic that Kevin enjoyed talking about. So you know what? If we walk away from nothing else,
think about that receiver quarterback simulation because that could be pretty.
We'll take it on the break. Everyone will come back. Try to come back with a pair, and
then we're going to battle the Beltway.
Then we will talk. We'll talk that. We'll talk Battle of the Beltway, and then we're talking to
Tyler Nguyen.
Tyler Nguyen about his day with Tiger Woods. We're the Ball Hogs. We'll be back.